I'm like, wow, welcome everyone. Welcome everyone.
Baby, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, all right, great. So I'm Valerie, and I have the honor of sitting next to some pretty amazing people today, and I also have the honor of asking a couple questions, and then we're going to turn it over so that you guys can ask some questions too. So thanks. So my first question that I had was how you guys all found each other. So, whoever
Really?
wants
The
to take
origin
that
story?
one. Yeah, a little bit.
Let's start with him.
All right. So I grew up with Mel. I've known
Flint,
Mel.
Michigan.
Yeah, in Flint, Michigan. Knew him since I was 14, and then he went to Iraq in the Marines, and then I came to college, and then my first DJ was Ray's roommate, and and so that's how I met Ray, and we were, was working on music and was freestyling and doing a lot of stuff, and Mel. Funny thing about him, like he can sing 5-part harmony, like literally sing bass, like in soprano and all of that, And so I got this opportunity to battle in the Source unsigned hype battle when the Source was a big thing,
Yeah.
and then like 2 weeks later I got to open for Naughty by Nature, and I didn't have any material. I just totally freestyled the whole thing, and I called Mel because he's the only person I knew who knew anything about studio, and I was like, yo, it's a message from God, I'm supposed to do this. And then and then the microphone Misfitz kind of formed, and we re-hooked up with Ray like years later, and Ray was just like, yo man, I want to do this music thing, and I'm like, man, that's dope, because I'm tired of doing this solo thing, and like I got some ideas, and so it's been on and popping since then. We've added other members, production team, Mike Noble and DJ Mar, Defects and Ken Solo and Jet Nam, B-boys that handle the floor, and we've been rolling ever since.
Yeah, and then of course we met this brother like out in the scene. We've all been around in the Chicago hip hop scene for quite a while, and so we meet a lot of other artists who do a lot of different things, and so we've met Wrcksit kind of throughout the scene at some of the various locations that hip hop kind of frequents here in the city.
Very cool. So you had mentioned a little bit about how you guys came together. Where do you find your inspiration? Do each of you kind of contribute to like where the vibe's going to go and how a song's going to form, or where does that come from?
It's not one way. It comes from many different things. Otherwise, sometimes I'll have a crazy idea and be like, yo, I want to do this, and I want to take this depressing ass topic and this fun ass beat and let's put it together.
Black Paranoid.
Sometimes Ray will come and be like, yo D, I want to do a song about this. I want to do this type of song and da-da-da. I'm like, okay, let's structure it out. Or Mel will, might be humming something, or like having something, or maybe even we're just clowning around and having conversations and talking, and like man, that's a heavy idea, or that was kind of cool. So it's not one way. And it's changed throughout the years. So like now it's more like being a detective, and like when you kind of see everybody vibing on something, or it's probably a song we wrote for Cool Out Chris's Beat album. It was like recently, it was a song, it hasn't been released yet, but it's called Cognitive Dissonance. And it was something that we all kept having a conversation about. Like everybody, like we were talking about cognitive dissonance, like learning about it and all of that stuff. So I was like, man, we should do a song about that. And so that's how it comes about and how it comes together.
So if you had to define a purpose for your music, what would you say that is? Because it's definitely to get people moving.
Yeah.
I don't know how hard it was to sit on the couch. It was hard for me.
Really hard.
Sitting on the couch. I don't know how hard it was for you
I
guys
just
on the
want to
couch.
dance.
Yeah. Purpose for the music, to inspire, educate, and entertain. It's just that simple. It's not too complex. Inspire, educate, and entertain.
Bring love to the community, peace to the community. Uplifting music, fun music to dance to.
Hit the people with some truth, whether they want to hear it or not. Sometimes sometimes that truth isn't always fun and friendly, but you know, sometimes you got to hit them in the mouth with it.
Mm-hmm.
Were there people throughout, as you were like forming your style, were there people that helped inform that for you or helped show you the way?
Yes, definitely.
Who would those people be?
Well, your cousin.
So there was a hip hop group down in Mississippi. They were formed at Jackson State called Crooked Letters. They were David Banner, who's a well-known producer in the hip hop scene now, and a guy named Kamikaze. Kamikaze was actually my cousin, and I remember being there around the time that they first were featured in The Source and the Unsigned Hype. I remember listening to that music and saying, like, you know, I've been doing music for so long, but theater was my number one love. So watching them do it kind of made me say, like, yo, I can do this as well. And so watching them and watching the ups and downs, the pitfalls that they went through in the business kind of helped shape my love for being behind the scenes and kind of playing the background and doing all of that stuff that I do with the crew. And just that love of the honesty and love of the culture and love of the community was kind of shaped around that time, around the mid to late 90s for me.
Yeah, and probably a lot of very influential Chicago artists like G2 the Juggernaut was really instrumental in helping me out and teaching me a lot about, you know, structuring songs and, you know, and finding a purpose. Chicago OG, when I say OG, I mean original God Body. Dr. Groove was probably one of the first Chicago MCs. Him and G2 were like one of the first two Chicago MCs to ever get signed to a major label deal. They were both of them were very instrumental, you know, like, and just having different things and just different content and just, you know, D.A. Smart and just a lot of talent, you know, and really helpful talent, you know. Probably somebody also too is a DJ, DJ Manowax, Usset Joffrey. Like, I learned so much about touring and traveling and grant writing and stuff. And the first person to put me on the road was DJ Manowax, so I learned a lot from him. And just regular common people, man, our students teach us so much.
That's up.
Like, you know.
So I'm glad you guys brought those students up. Talk to us a little bit about what you do with students, how you got into working with students, and what you get out of it. 'Cause I don't think the folks, do you guys know?
Well, yeah, we everybody in the microphone Misfitz teach, even the members that are not here, like Jet and Defects and Solo. We work for many different organizations, and we do arts and culture programs all over the city, servicing like 2,000 kids a year.
About that.
About 2,000 kids a year.
CPS or like
all over.
Yeah.
CPS and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and love it because, I mean, it's really a cheat. It's kind of cheat that we get paid because we get to go in hip hop all day.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
I found the best job.
Yeah, like, we got, you know, I just had to battle some students yesterday. Like, you know, like, he was like, oh, D-Nick roast him. I was like, what? And he was like, man, he think he rap better than us. So, like, I get to do that, or, like, we get to battle the students. They always coming at Ray.
Always. I'm the better B-boy than D-Nick.
Yeah.
And so, like, as I'm learning, I'm getting better teaching the kids.
Right.
And so, like, they learn new moves, and I'll be like, I bet I'm stealing that. And then they'll come up to me and say, I want to battle you today. Our favorite person to battle is Roro. She's about this tall. And she challenges me every single time she gets it.
I love it.
Yeah.
And so it's good to learn with the kids. We also get to learn from them. You know, and it just makes
Does
me.
Roro ever beat you?
No, Roro can't beat me.
I don't know about that one, partner.
And so
she
that's
might
the
get
thing.
you.
I look forward to my
Yeah.
students being able
Just
to
keeps you on your
handle
toes though, right?
Now
Yeah.
we do have a
Yeah.
student named Question who we got a tie, and so it's like, all right, bet I need to up my game.
Yeah, and you know, and it keeps our skills sharp,
Yeah.
and it just refuels us, you know, like to know like that they appreciate the culture and appreciate everything, and you know, we don't just teach them about us and our group, like we teach them about all the greats in Chicago,
All the elements.
that we took them to a jam, and they, you know, he talked about Roro. One of her favorite B girls in the city is a B girl named Pepsi. You know what I'm saying? And Pepsi, I introduced them, and then Pepsi gave her like 20 rounds. She battled her and gave her like 20 rounds. And then that day it was a battle. Pepsi won the battle. You know what I'm saying? So it was like that was very inspirational for her. You know, especially seeing another female hip hopper. You know,
handle some fellas too.
Yeah,
she beat all the guys.
We gonna teach him about Wrcksit. If we can, we'll bring him into the class and like to teach music production and DJing. You know. And it's made me better, and it's the term teacher is kind of misleading. Like, we don't really teach them nothing. We just kind of guide them and remind them of their own greatness. You know what I'm saying? So we're more like reminders. We remind them of how great they already are. It's forgot. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, you know.
So I have one last question, then I was going to open up to the group. So you talked about bringing different people in, and obviously it kind of probably changes the vibe and composition. If you could, and everybody has to answer this one, who would you want to work with next? And it could be anybody. It could be Roro, for God's sake. Who would you want to bring into the group on the next album?
Start with Wrcksit.
Figure your shit out.
Figure your shit out. Yeah, I haven't. This is my first time actually working with these guys here in front of you guys. So definitely look forward to working with them more, for sure. You know, especially with the movement and the sound and kind of the direction that they're headed. You know, they've been on the path for a while, and I appreciate hard work. You know, when I see other people working hard and other people that are involved in the culture of hip hop, it makes me want to kind of blend my own style and my own, kind of persona into what hip hop is as well. You know, I know I'm just beatboxing, but I produce, like he was saying, I produce and I DJ and, I write my own stuff. I'm a poet originally from Louder Than a Bomb, Young Chicago Authors, kind of where it all started for me. Breakdancing, I was a kid, I had a lot of people to look up to, like these guys, as well, to kind of guide me and remind me, of obviously my own greatness. So, to continue doing it, definitely want to keep working with you guys for sure.
For me, I think those artists that I mentioned earlier, Crooked Letters. But one thing is, like, having spent so many years working with youth and working with a lot of different artists around the city, there's a young man I met, I think when he was 19 years old, named T-Rex. And Rex was somebody that I mentored for quite a while. So, when I first met him, he wasn't quite ready, but, I've been working with him for a while. He's actually eventually going on to be the co-host for the radio show that I do. He and I work together on almost a daily basis. And so watching the growth and the development that he's gone through over the years, he's definitely somebody that, for me, I would want to work with in the near future.
Oh, man. So many people. And it's less because we kind of have the opportunity to work with people that we want, because we don't want to work with anybody that we don't vibe with. You know what I'm saying? Like, we respect everybody's talent, but like working with Wrcksit is a no-brainer. You know what I'm saying? That's going to happen. It's happened today, and it's going to happen again. But I'm more, for me now, been teaching and doing this for so long, I've kind of at that point where I'm starting to see students get older and look for opportunities and, outside of like our programs. And so now I'm trying to position myself in a position where I can give them, a path to better opportunities. Because it's hard for artists. It's hard for us. So I know it's a struggle for them. So I'm more so than, just working on that, because that'll happen and that's nothing. I more so want to like consult and help, young artists like really get there, figure your shit out. Like,
it's a lifestyle. Trust me. Trust me.
Word. I mean, as far as working with artists, I'm kind of already on that path. I host an open mic monthly called For the Artist Open Mic. I also produce a magazine called Dope Vibes Daily. So I'm actively working with artists on the regular within the Chicago hip-hop scene and even abroad. And even, just hosting this open mic, T-Rex is one of the people who frequents my open mic. He's a big fan of it. He's a part of that show. He's been our little brother, basically, for a long time. And so him and like various other artists that are always on my shows or coming to the open mic and part of the magazine, even a part of the Dope Vibes show that's coming up soon. I'm just active working with artists all the time, and I appreciate even being able to have this platform. I was gifted with this platform. I didn't even go for it, actually. I was gifted with it. And, bringing people in and seeing how my crew vibes with them, and, some people they rock with, some people they don't, but it's always good to be able to explore all the talent that's out here. So much talent in Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just blessed to be able to be a part of this crew, and to be able to have a platform to be able to spread a message of peace, love, happiness, having fun, and working with other artists that are on that same vibe.
Let's plug the open mic. Where's the open mic at?
The open mic, the next one is April 15th, 533 East 79th Street. It's called The Black Mall. And it's going to be featuring my daughter, Raina Sky. She's an MC and a comedian. And it's also featuring Sunlight, which is a combination of myself and my fiance. We're going to be doing a couple of songs.
Cool.
So, yeah.
All right. So, who's got some questions for thee? All right.
I have a comment and a question. The comment is, I wish I had a cousin who was named Kamikaze, because I think that was awesome.
Word.
Does them all the time. But my question is that song that you guys sang, the history,
Family history.
which I thought was amazing, because the message was so clear about how black music has influenced over the years, and it's so fun. My question is, how much of that comes out in the first iteration versus how much do you need to work on something like that to really make it into the song that we heard today?
It came in parts. Was actually someone wanted me for a feature, and so they just wanted like a short 16, and like I had like the first part, and I was like, hey man, I brought it to the crew. I was like, hey, I'm kind of thinking about this, for this feature with this artist, and they were like, hey man, don't get that to them. Put that shit aside. that's for us. Don't get that to them. So it was that, and then it was like, okay, you're like, yeah, like that's not a feature thing. That's like a full song and a full routine. So I was like, okay, cool. And then there was research, but that was the fun part. You know what I'm saying? Like doing the research and like, okay, what comes first? Like for at least from like a Black American experience, like okay, there's gospel, and then from gospel there's the blues, and then they have the same patterns, and then what comes after that, and then what came next, and all of that. So just following the timeline of all of that, and then making those genres people in a family tree, like, and putting those together, like those are like I like to write, so those are like fun parts to write and figure out. So it was so it was a little of both. So it came that way.
The production too. The production's a big part. So.
Yeah.
The beat always, the sound, hearing it kind of gives you the flow, gives you the feeling that you're looking for. You know what I mean? If the beat isn't right, then the flow isn't gonna be right.
Yeah.
So it definitely goes to the beat too.
Tell us about them.
Sure.
That's so cool. Where did that idea come from?
This guy.
Man, we've been
It's my favorite too.
pretty big nerd.
This is our most recent one, Escape from Babylon Volume 3. The line art was done by Damian Hampton, and the lettering and color art was done by Daryl Spicey. I wrote the story, and Mel helped edit and made sure that everything was clean and precise. The idea came. I love comic books, and I was at a comic convention, and there was no music, anything at the convention, and Murs, an underground rapper, big name underground rapper named Murs, was at the convention, not as a celebrity guest or anything. He was just there. And Chuck D was also at the convention, not as a celebrity guest, he was just there. And I was there the moment when they ran into each other, and it was like, oh, Merz, Chuck D, what are you doing here? And they were kind of having a moment, but nobody knew who they were. And I was there because I was like, that dude look like Merz. I was like, oh shit, that's Chuck D. Like, you know. And I was just the fly on the wall. I watched them meet, and they were just kind of nerding out about like, oh, Public Enemy had a show in Chicago, so we came to the Comic-Con. They're like, yeah, I had a show in Chicago. He was like, yeah, man, let the rest of the fellas go. I said, I'll fly back. I heard Comic-Con was here. And so they just had a moment, and I was like, hip-hop needs to be here. And, you know, I've always liked art, and, you know, Mel draws and everything. And so I had this idea, like, we should be at these comic conventions. And I pitched it to the fellas, and they was like, I mean, it's kind of weird, but all right, we'll go. And like, you know, and
That's what I said.
and then we, you know, and
We
then
took off,
on a deeper message is like, you know, we're flesh and blood, so we have a life expectancy. You know, Walt Disney dead in the mud, but Mickey Mouse still here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We just lost Stan Lee, but Spider-Man and Avengers still gonna be popping. You know what I'm saying? So what better way to immortalize ourselves and our legacy than like have us as characters?
And it was definitely a long process. I mean, when we first started talking about it, like I say, like he loved the stories and all of that stuff with the books. For me, I like comic books because I love to draw. Like I literally picked up books because of the cover. I could care less about the story. I eventually got into those stories, but when he first had that idea, it was like, all right, let's do it. And if you went to our apartment at the time, like our kitchen, we would literally sit there daily, and there were like Post-it notes all over the kitchen wall with us just trying to flesh out a story. I mean, it took quite a while to get there, but once we finally got that story done, and then there was a guy who was actually a fan of our music who asked if he could do the next album cover, which was Escape from Babylon Volume 1. When we saw what he did for the cover, you know, we asked him if he'd be willing to do an entire book, and then he said yes. And like, at that moment, it's like everything had aligned, and we were good to go, and it just kind of went from there.
And he's a political cartoonist named John Park.
Right.
He did the first two books, and the second one we started learning more about how to put together a comic book. You know, like because first John did the whole first book. Color, letters, everything, you know, and then the second one we had Jedi, the dishwasher from Connect Force.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Battle rapper.
B-boys.
Yeah. He did Jedi did the cover. The guy who does our animation, Juan Big Hurt Hernandez, he did the color for the book, and John just did the line art. And then, you know, it's funny because there's a guy like Damian Hampton is when we first did the first book, he was a student, and he like entered a competition where it was like the art of villainry. So he like a competition. So if you won the battle, we would give you like a free pass to C2E2 to the Comic-Con, and you know, so he created the villain for us to fight in the second book.
What's the villain's name?
Auto-Tune. That's him right here.
That's great.
And so Damien created that, and then, you know, fast forward, like Damien is like doing amazing artwork, and you know, we made him we put him to work. He's working on the next comic book. This is Mel punching Auto-Tune right there.
How does the comic book play with the music that accompanies it? Are they connected at all?
It's a soundtrack.
We're hip hop superheroes.
Yeah, didn't wanna confine it, you know, so much.
It's like a compliment.
Yeah, it's a compliment to it. If the music is
visuals and reading.
Yeah, if the music is heavy, then the book is lighter. You know, so it's just kind of give different sides. Because that's the thing about being an artist, you got to fight for the context.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because people will take your shit out of context. So you have to fight for the context of your humanity and your creations.
No more questions?
What's our next show, D-Nick?
Cypher Den in Milwaukee. We're going to be performing at Cypher Den in Milwaukee next week. And it's kind of like a little run.